welcome back. Hope you were able to stretch out your legs and grab a drink, cup of coffee before the lunch hour. We have a good friend with us here. You might recognize her from day one, Samantha Titano, who's actually a member of the, what was it, the Safe Schools Coalition? Is that what they're called? But Project U, they just recognized Manyetlu. But in any case, Sam is going to talk about leveling up through localization, the journey Manyetlu encountered over recently with regards to changing from their Big Brothers Big Sisters organization to what they are today. I'm sure you guys will get a lot of insight about how she was able to infuse local programming for our community. So I'm going to turn it over to Sam. Thank you for joining us again today.
Okay, so half a day, everyone. Hold on one second. Technology. Okay. So half a day, everybody. Rananim, Kasaleli, Ali Mogathin, Tuo, and Mugbuhai. Thank you so much again for having me here today. My name is Samantha Taitano, and I am with Manyetlu. So today I am really excited to share a little bit about my story, a lot of it about Manyetlu's story, and really how we transitioned a nationally affiliated organization into a nonprofit that was really focused on creating and catering our programs to our local community. So like every sort of great story, it really starts in 2017, so in the not so distant past, when I was looking sort of for a volunteer opportunity, and I was really looking for something that was hands-on and that I was able to make an impact in the community. And so after doing some research, I happened upon Big Brothers Big Sisters of Guam. And so this was really exciting because it had a lot of hands-on opportunities that I was looking for. It checked a lot of those boxes. And so just a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters of Guam. It was an affiliate of the internationally recognized organization Big Brothers Big Sisters. And that program really focused on an evidence-based youth mentoring program where it matched young people with positive adult role models and built these friendships to really sort of develop skills and decision-making processes with these young people to help guide them towards success. And so with the mentoring program, they had sort of two different kinds. There was the one-to-one mentoring program that was really community-based. And so that community-based program matched bigs with our littles. And they were able to do all of those activities sort of outside of the school setting. There was also a school-based mentoring program, still one-to-one, where high school students or adults would come in and do those mentoring programs in sort of the school or perhaps in a sort of controlled area outside of school, so maybe at one of the community sites. And so the organization really had 15 years of experience by the time I had kind of stumbled upon them. So I was very, very interested, and sort of the mission had already resonated with me. And so in 2017, the later part of 2017, I was fortunate to be matched in their program as a big. And so here are just a couple photos of me and my little throughout the years. So the mentoring program, for anybody who is interested, I highly recommend it. It is a great way to not only make an impact on a child's life, but also they are making a huge impact on your life as well. And so throughout the course of 3 years, we really built a relationship through the activities that we were able to do, the discussions that we were able to have. My little did relocate this year, so we still do kind of keep in contact via social media. But she's no longer here, so the match has been closed. But it was really a great experience. And so in 2018, when I found out that the organization was looking for a new executive director, I was definitely very interested in the position. And so when I called to inquire about the organization, I found out that not only were they looking for a new executive director, but they were also looking to possibly disaffiliate from their national brand. And so the exiting executive director really sort of gave me a really brief rundown about some of the different projects that the organization had been taking on. And sort of some of the reasons why they were looking at disaffiliating from that national brand. So of course, I found that extremely interesting because, being part of the organization as a mentor and sort of seeing the impact that the youth mentoring really can have on a child's life, I was wondering, okay, so what does this mean for the organization? But kind of through the discussions, it really sounded like an exciting opportunity to not only just keep our mentoring program, but to start to localize and customize the programs of the organization to meet our community's needs. And so I had actually I was with the company at the time that had gone through a rebranding process. The company had experienced some growth and was moving into a new location. And part of that was that they wanted to sort of rebrand it. So I was actually brought in as a brand support specialist. So I had a little bit of familiarity with what it would take to rebrand, not as much familiarity with the whole process of changing things over in a nonprofit. But I was definitely excited. So in April of 2018, I was fortunate enough to join their team as the executive director. And quickly, as I started in the organization, talking with the board, talking with the team, I realized it was very clear that the organization was ready to shift and that organization was ready to really make some changes and blossom. I'm kind of going to go into some of those reasons why. So there were two main reasons why we sort of made that decision to disaffiliate. One, this is sort of just on the surface level, it's not that core reason why, but the first reason was really the changes in the national and affiliate structure. And so the Big Brothers Big Sisters brand was really going through a bunch of different changes that were sort of alienating some of the smaller affiliates. There was an increase in the affiliation fees. So just to kind of have the name Big Brothers Big Sisters. And our mentoring program at that time was primarily funded through donations, sponsorships, and fundraisers. And so it was important to us to keep those donations and those monies that we were receiving from local businesses, local organizations, just local people in general here on the island to support the programs and to support the youth and support the community that we were working with. But the second reason is really what I believe is the driving force for why we decided to really make that change. And to be honest, before I had even started with the organization was already evolving. We were already more than a youth mentoring program. So with all of those years of experience, the organization was really looking at mentoring and then looking at some of the other barriers that our youth were experiencing. And through different grants, they were able to sort of start addressing some of those barriers. And so one of the things that we really saw and kind of shaped the organization that we are today is that really in order to fully support our youth, in order to support a child, you also need to empower and educate the people who surround them. So being able to support the families, being able to support the parents, caregivers, aunts, uncles, older siblings, being able to also empower them so that they can also be 100% there for their child is part of ensuring that our youth are ready for success. And so when I came in, we were operating off of 3 main grants, which we all still have today. And all of these grants really funded these supplementary youth and family services that were being identified as needs within the community. So one of the first grants that we had was actually with the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. And I talked a little about that yesterday. And it was our Partnership for Success grant, the first round. And it allowed us to provide prevention education. And when you think about it, mentoring itself truly is prevention. And so this was just kind of adding on to that prevention by having like a more formal classroom setting for the prevention education, but we were still matching youth who were part of that program in our mentoring program. So everything was still continuing to tie together. The second grant that we had was a grant from GURA. It was a community development block grant that we still operate under today. And this allowed us to bring enriching and educational activities to some of our low to moderate income housing areas. And so we primarily work in the public housing areas with our pop-up tents, or right now we're able to leverage some of the community centers that they have at a couple of the sites and really just run different kinds of activities. This has a heavy workforce development aspect to it because we realized that youth and the parents were really needing those support services to kind of think beyond what they're doing and sort of strive for more. And so the community development block grant really allowed us to kind of go into the community and start providing those family support services that we were seeing were going to be really helpful in developing our youth. And then the last grant that we had at the time, again, which we're still operating under, is the Micronesian Resource Center. Again, we were looking at the different needs that we were seeing in our community. And one of the needs was being able to support those, our brothers and sisters from our neighboring islands as they were coming and transitioning to Guam. And so for those of you who don't know too much about the Micronesian Resource Center, they are a project that provides informational and educational resources. They are staffed with multilingual caseworkers who are able to do workshops, provide case management, and kind of connect those who might have a language barrier to some of the resources that we have on our island so that they can make a really successful transition, and then also to find success beyond that. And so, as you can see, Big Brothers of Big Sisters of Guam was really evolving already, evolving to support the family as a whole, and just really taking a holistic approach of supporting our youth, supporting the families, and supporting the community from the roots up. And so in the middle of 2018, so I started in April, by the middle of 2018, a couple months in, after sort of doing our assessment, talking with the board, talking with the team, the decision was made to formally disaffiliate from Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. And that was quite a process. I'm not going to go into the paperwork that it took, but it did take a lot of paperwork. There were requirements from our affiliate to ensure that we were kind of closing out the Big Brothers Big Sisters section of the organization, and still like being able to move forward with the work that we are doing, and the mentoring program that we were going to continue to carry with us. But today I'm going to kind of share more about the localization that the organization really went through. And so one of the first things that we knew we needed to do was build our brand. And so we knew we needed a new organization name. And after a lot of discussions, we were able to happen upon Manyetlu. And so we decided on Manyetlu because Manyetlu in Chamorro means brotherhood and sisterhood. And so it very much is connected to Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Guam, but at the same time, thinking about the existing programs that we already had that were supporting youth and families, Manyetlu made sense because it was sort of what the organization was looking to build. We're looking to build a brotherhood and sisterhood within our community, a community of people who are looking to support each other, and looking forward to everyone being successful. So Manyetlu really resonated with us. It was also short, semi-easy to say. Sometimes people get held up on the tilde. So Manyetlu was the name we chose, and then we needed a logo. And so I shared with you sort of all of the different iterations that this logo went through. We actually commissioned the artists who had created the logo for the Micronesian Resource Center because we really knew that we wanted to ensure that our aesthetic sort of maintained. And so we didn't want to have a logo that was so completely different from the Micronesian Resource Center's logo, as that was the only logo that we had at the time. We've definitely grown our projects and logos since then. But as you can sort of see, we knew that people were really going to be part of the logo. And at the same time, we wanted to ensure that it was simple. And so this beautiful logo that we have here today that I hope you all recognize is what we decided on in the end, with the two little people. One of them sort of looks like a laddie. And then we went with this like very purplish blue. We think it's purple, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's like the Manetlu blue. But purple is actually the color of mentoring, but we did kind of want to stay away from that really bright royal purple. But yes, so this is the logo that we ended up with. But there was a lot of other things that needed to be changed, aside from just making sure that you have brand recognition. We had to go through a ton of organization changes. And so fortunately, at the time, we were able to go through a nonprofit improvement program with Holly Rustic. And it was myself, Mrs. Narita Charteris, and then also our late project director, Edmund Wangu. We all sort of went through this 10-week nonprofit improvement program so that we were able to really look at the organization and rethink and reassess what we were imagining the organization to be in this like new, changing, evolving organization. We had to change our mission and vision. Our previous mission and vision was very youth-centered, so it was about changing youth's lives through our mentoring program. Now, through this improvement program, we were able to identify that our new mission was really empowering and educating both youth and families facing adversity to change their lives for the better. And that really sort of encompassed all of the different programs that we already had in existence. And then our vision adjusted to a community of diverse ethnicities that were really working together and thriving towards success. And so we also went through a SWOT analysis. We did some resource mapping. We really looked at the ins and out of the organization to see how we wanted to sort of restructure things to ensure that we were going to sort of become successful in this localization of our program. And so leadership really went through this program. We went to the board of the directors, we got their input, we got their approval. But what was really going to be the most important thing to us was that we ensured that we had buy-in from our team. And so after kind of going through the program and sort of starting on some of those key things, like we knew we had to create the mission, we knew we had to create the vision, we knew we needed to start on the direction, but we also wanted to ensure that the team really felt like they were part of this transition and that their voices were being heard because they're doing the work. And so we got the team involved. Towards the end of 2018, or actually at the very end of 2018, we had a team retreat where we took out sections of that nonprofit improvement program and started to kind of engage the team in discussion, in thinking about what are our strengths, our weaknesses, what are our opportunities, and being able to really allow them to share their voice, share their opinions, share where they felt the organization should be going. And that was like a really beautiful thing because it really solidified sort of the team uniting us into a common goal. And at the end of this retreat, we also created our annual goals. And so, of course, we helped with like some of the main sort of ideas of creating maybe 3 different goals. And then it was really the team that worked together to narrow things down to ensure that we were all happy with the direction of the organization and how we were going to move forward in localizing and creating specifically for our community. And so this is really where the start of the creation of our organization culture started. It's still evolving. We're still working on it, but it really kind of solidified that we operate as a team, as a unit. And I feel like that is also a very, very local approach as well. And so since that transition, listening to the needs of our team, to ensure that we're connected to the needs of our community, we've implemented a bunch of different things, such as increased staff development. So we do hold regular staff development programs internally. And then we also kind of invite guests to kind of come in and do different staff development as well. And then also one of the big things was really encouraging our team to be creative and to propose ideas for project and activities that will benefit the community. We could do a sort of top-down approach, but what we really wanted was to have our team, who was really connected with the community, be part of the changing of our programs and be part of the creation of new programs that were really aiming to meet the needs of the community. And so we continue to involve our team today, and we continue to have those team retreats. And actually, before the retreat in 2018, November of 2018, we launched our brand. And so it was very important for us to bring awareness to the fact that, hey, we are localizing, but our programs are still, our core programs are staying still very similar, but now we have the freedom to continue customizing what we're doing to, I keep saying this, meet our community's needs. And so we did press release. Here you can see we had a wave. And here's one of the little girls who is part of our wave. And it was really about showing the community that this long-standing organization, although it was shifting, although things were transitioning and pivoting, that we were here to stay and we were here for them. And so sort of with that, we really experienced a ton of growth. So we have grown so much since 2018, and we continue to evolve and grow all of the programs that we have. So when I first started with the organization, as I mentioned, we had 3 main projects. And those 3 main projects were definitely the stepping stones for us to sort of change into this localization. But since then, we have grown to 7 main projects, and we have some little projects that we have along the way as well. But all of these projects are all really heavy on focusing on ensuring that our programs are culturally relevant. So with this growth, we weren't just growing and starting to look for grants in order to increase our size. We were looking for grants that really matched what our community needed. And, you know, I continue to talk about that, but not only is it about us going out into the community and being able to put out those programs, but we're also continuously assessing their needs. And so I feel like that's definitely something that Guam Behavioral Health and the grants that we've received from them have really instilled in us, is just being able to continue to take the pulse by continuing to survey your community and connect with them to ensure that those programs are really meeting their needs. And you're not just bringing something because you think it's going to be a good idea. You're bringing something that people want, need, and can take advantage of. And so with those increased projects, we're also increasing our impact. We're increasing our staff. So when we started, when I started in 2018, we had a staff of 9 people. And as you can see here in this picture, we have grown to a staff of over 20, and we're actually still hiring for some positions. And we have another project in the works that will be hiring in the very near future. So all of this growth is really because what we're doing now is we're shifting and we're looking for those opportunities to fill some of those gaps in the communities. And so with that, we have been creating new workshops and presentations. And so I really want to highlight some of the things that the Micronesian Resource Center is doing. I know that in the news, all of you may have seen that there has been an increase in meth usage on the island, and that there are concerns because there has been an increase decision within the FSM community. And so in response, our team knew that they wanted to be able to support that community and meet their needs by creating a presentation that's going to be culturally sensitive and culturally relevant and can be presented in the different languages. And so building of this drug prevention and drug awareness program. Also, they've been working on something called Building a Common Ground. So this was really sparked because the Guam Department of Education reached out to us and was, because we've done a bunch of cultural sort of sensitivity trainings with their students, but they wanted us to do something for the teachers and the administrators. They wanted to be able to have a better connection with their students and their students' parents. And so we started building a common ground. That way we can sort of address the differences in cultures. I mean, our island is so diverse, and that's really what makes it beautiful. But being able to kind of connect those dots and ensure that everyone is sort of understanding of that cultural sensitivity. And so it started off as sort of this small presentation, and the team's really been working on it to sort of cross different industries. So not only for educators, but for other businesses, so that we can kind of continue to spread that awareness. We've also outgrown our existing spaces. So in this photo, we are actually at our new office location, which will be in Tamuning. We're not moved in yet, and that's just because we're still kind of going through the process of ordering our furniture and all of that stuff. But hopefully, towards the end of this month, we'll be there. So with this growth, we're also seeing our office grow, which means that we're able to service more people and assist more people. And then also we have seen a huge increase in partnership. Knowing that, when we first were kind of making this transition, we were a little bit concerned, how are our grantors going to feel? How are our funders going to feel? But to be honest, everybody has been so completely supportive of our transition into a local organization. And so that's not just like our existing partners, our existing sponsors and grantors, but also we've seen a huge increase of people just being interested in working with us or donating to us or having fundraisers for our cause, because they can sort of see, okay, like this organization is really creating and catering to us and to our needs. And so we've seen an increase in partnership. For example, Matson last year donated $10,000 to us to address social injustice. And so building a common ground is really part of us addressing that and using those funds to kind of be able to promote that. And so with the localization of the organization, it has really, really given us the ability to create our programs that are really designed for our unique community. And then I just kind of want to share some of our services. I'm not going to list everything down because we do have a plethora of things that we do, but as you can see, it's all really focused on empowering our youth and empowering our families. And like I said, the drug awareness presentation, the Building a Common Ground, these are all new things that are in developments because we are responding to what we're seeing in the community. Another example of sort of how we've been really responsive, especially during COVID and during the pandemic, is that once the pandemic hit, we wrote grants that were going to be specific to responding to our community's needs. And so Informed Island is a project that we have funded through the Department of Interior of Office of Insular Affairs, which provides the Micronesian Resource Center additional multilingual caseworkers so that we were able to really put out a lot of translated information. So again, meeting those needs, understanding that there might be some people who have a language barrier, and then working towards meeting their needs. We also received another grant from GURA that is, again, very heavy on workforce development, because we knew that with a lot of people sort of being furloughed or let go from their jobs, that there was going to be a need for increased workforce development programs, not only for our youth who are going to start looking to enter the workplace, but maybe for some people who are looking to shift and pivot what kind of career they have. So that was with our services. And then, so sort of some of the takeaways, and I feel like I might have really quickly gone through this all, but some of the takeaways really from our transition is really that local needs require a local approach. And our ability, I don't think that our organization would truly be where it is today if we had not disaffiliated from Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. Like I mentioned, it's based on a youth mentoring program, and that's pretty much what it does. But we had already grown and we continue to grow because although youth mentoring works, and trust me, it works, we knew that we needed to start supporting the families. We knew that we needed to start supporting the people surrounding our youth so that we could see real change and hopefully make a big difference in our youth's lives. Our community is full of love and support. So just like I said, it was really a concern at first. We're like, oh my gosh, we're changing. We're not going to be Big Brothers, Big Sisters anymore. What kind of response are we going to receive? And honestly, we received so much support, even more so than we had been expecting. And I really think sort of with the brand awareness that we kind of launched off with and just sort of highlighting all of the different programs that we have, the community was fully on board, both private sector, government, and then just also individuals. Were very supportive, and we continue to see donations coming in to support the efforts that we continue to do. Also, it takes a team. One of the big things that we continue to emphasize in our organization is just team and teamwork, and that everybody's input really truly matters within our organization. And it makes a difference because they are truly the ones who are doing the work. I don't go out into the community every day. I sit behind the computer and do the paperwork. They are the ones who inform how we're going to make those changes. And it's so important to really ensure that they're included and ensure that they're feeling supported while kind of going through this transition that really, localized the way that we think and the way that we operate. And then lastly, grow with direction. So like I mentioned, this growth wasn't really just growing for the sake of growing. We strategically and carefully look at the different projects that we are proposing to ensure that they are informed sort of by those needs assessments that we continue to take within our communities, and that we are growing to meet those needs. So we're not just kind of getting grants and being like, okay, well, this can sort of fit into what we think the community needs. We are creating our programs specifically based on what the community tells us they need. And so with that, I know I am the presentation before lunch, so I did want to give you guys a little bit of extra time before the next one, but I did just kind of want to say thank you to everyone. And thank you so much for having me. I'm open for questions, and I hope that today you sort of learned a little bit more about how we localized our program and how we've really seen a lot of success, a lot of support through that localization. Oh, and this is where you can find us, our website, our social media, and then again, you can always email me at executive@minyetlu.org if you have specific questions about the paperwork part.
Thank you, Samantha, for a great presentation. I see in the chat here all compliments on all the things you do in the community. I know now a lot of people don't really understand, but with your presentation now, I hope that they they have more clearance on what you do in the community and what your team does in the community. So thank you for all of that. And that was a really well thought of presentation. I think there's no question at the moment. But if you have any last word before we end it and going to lunch?
No, I just really wanted to thank everybody. I really hope that you gained something from the presentation, and that you kind of really keep in mind when you guys are creating programs or working with organizations that we're not the only ones who are trying to localize and cater our programs. A lot of the organizations are doing it, and it's so truly great to see. So thank you, and you guys can contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. And to the attendees, we'll be going on lunch break. You can come back at 1:30. If there's anything else, enjoy your lunch. Thank you again, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you.